So this session is part of the European Showrunner think tank. It's an event of series exploring a truly European version of showrunning. It is initiated by the European Showrunners program at the Internationale Filmschule Köln, which is funded by the Creative Europe media program of the European Union. And if you feel inspired of what it will be further discussed today by our panelists, feel free to also check the website of the program. They have a deadline on the 14th of April. I guess any of you will be able also to provide additional details about what happens there, unless what happens there stays there. So the intention of today's discussion is to touch upon the concept of showrunning, its appeal, challenges, of course, the specificities of Eastern European showrunning, if that exists. Then we have to see in what way and what does it mean. The ideal vision of showrunner, the adapted vision of the showrunning, and of course, if this is going to be a successful discussion, that's up to you guys. It's up to Wiktor Piątkowski, Teodora Markova, and Stanislavs Tokalovs. No pressure.
I fear that I want to apologize that if it is not a successful discussion.
Don't apologize.
Assume right from the beginning that it's going to be a failure.
Now your expectations, a lot of expectations, now we can start talking.
My motto is that failure is an option. So then we can work. We start from there. So I'm Alex Traila, I will be your host for this morning. I'm a program manager at the Council of Europe, human rights institution based in Strasbourg. We are the home of the new funding program, the pilot program for series co-production. You heard some of it about yesterday, but today is not about what we do, it's about what they do. So showrunning in Eastern Europe, challenges and opportunities, among other things that we are going to discuss today. We have with us Teodora Markova. She's, would you like to introduce yourself or would you like me to read what I found? Okay, sorry. Okay. So she's a film and a TV writer from based in Bulgaria and originally from Bulgaria. She has created and co-written some of the successful TV shows in Bulgaria. Acclaimed crime show Undercover. You've been nominated at the Monte Carlo Television Festival and distributed in many territories. And you are also a co-showrunner of Soviet Jeans, and this is going to be discussed or touched upon in our future questions as well. Stanislav is a Latvian screenwriter, so he's from around the corner here. Director, producer, a showrunner. You debuted in 2012 with your with Shoe. If I remember, if the internet remembers that correctly, let's put it like that.
Let's say it was like that.
Let's say it was like that. Okay. I'm transferring the responsibility to the internet. So yes. We were also you had a premiere in different festivals, also in the Italian Film Festival in 2022, and you are showrunner together with Teodora for the recent successful series, The Soviet Jeans. By the way, congratulations for the Audience Award. I think this is, for a series, this is the most important. It was just the other day in Series Mania, so they premiered with The Soviet Jeans there. They received the Best Actor Award and the Best Audience. And yes, this is a very good, successful story. And also sold to make a deal with Beta. So you're going to reach a wider audience.
Hopefully.
Then next one next to me is, and now you have to bear with me, Wiktor Piątkowski. Almost there.
Almost, yeah.
Created and co-written HBO's first original series produced in Poland, Wataha, and the first Polish romantic comedy for the Netflix, Squared Love. You have more than 10 years of experience and hundreds of hours of shows. This is something that I'm always amazed, because in film you are counting the titles, in series you're counting the hours. Then you have done also all sort of other projects covering a wide range of scope, from soap to crime, and now you have recently pitched your new project in Series Mania, but we can discuss about that. So, understanding the role of the showrunner, what does that mean by the book? Where in, for example, the Serial I, the European film, European showrunner program definition when you went to school, what that mean?
All right, so I think that running the show is taking...
No, what you think.
They told you what they told me, okay.
You come to what you think after that.
So what they told us, they told us it's the showrunner is the person who's in charge of the whole series, starting from the financial side, going through the creative side, from the very beginning, from pitching the idea sometimes to delivering the whole thing to the broadcaster. So it covers everything from the very beginning till the end. So it's huge load of work and responsibility. So basically that's it, you know, like you're the guy in charge of the whole series. So that's the definition of it. And I think it's like the two sides of a coin, huge power, but also like big responsibility, like in the Spider-Man movies, you know, like almost that big. So that's what they told us, and this is what I experienced so far.
So how does the theory, how do you work with that, or how you adapt it?
Yeah, my story is a little bit different, because nobody told me what's a showrunner. And I was being a head writer for about 6 years, producing probably by that time 5 or 6 TV series. And then I went to a workshop, a scriptist, probably you've heard of it. It's for feature film. And I was speaking with one of the tutors, and he was asking me, what do you exactly do? And I started explaining, and he said, so you're the showrunner. And I didn't know that I was the showrunner until then. And it's proved to be very difficult to fight for this credit, and it is still in Eastern Europe. I was going to ask, are there any screenwriters here who think that they might be showrunners, but they don't know that they are? Okay, so practically it starts with the idea and the vision and the tonality of the series, which you have to convey to the writers. You choose your own writers team. And then after you fight with the producers about the content, then you have to convey this to all the head of departments, and to participate in the casting and all the artistic choices, and be on the set when there are troubles, or when they are starting shooting, or when the director's first day, when they change, and then going into the editing and following all the process with up till the music and the video effects, and even the marketing and like packaging the whole project. And I think in this process it is very important, if you are a good showrunner and you are not a director, because Stas is a director, but to respect this space of the director, and to learn how to communicate with them, and not to overstep your territory, but at the same time to follow the dailies. And if you notice that something is going out of line or out of style, how to approach it without hurting their. No.
So, Stanislav, yeah, have you been like
I'm also a showrunner, so I'm not the director that needs to get hurt in this situation. So I don't have to get hurt. So for Soviet Genes and Latvian example, we are further than Bulgaria because series are only starting, and it's probably a third series that has a bigger amount of money in order to achieve something in Latvia. So it's been 3 years making medium and high budget series. So Soviet Genes, I mean the one that we made, and the question of who is the showrunner of the show only appeared when we got into Berlin, and they asked who are the showrunners, and then it was logical because we with Teodora just divided this two parts, and like that's, but this was the first time it appeared. Everything that Teodora said was done by us, so this hours of rewatching the work of, also there was one director commenting and trying to bring it all together. So everything that was mentioned was done, but it was never a question like who is the showrunner, and it just came out natural. And if to look at the example of other projects from the Baltic states, it always happened like this. There's this crazy one person who is a creator, writer, how it usually happens in the Baltics. The directors very often write their own stuff, and so I'm doing this series, oh, fuck yourself, I know everything. I'm gonna do. I'm very sorry. I will. This will not happen again. And
I'm sure that
I was trying to make a good miniature in a talented way, so I had to use the bad word. And this is, yes. And so there is no conversation about the showrunner, even if Teodora thinks that her Bulgaria is a Wild West, so Baltics is just coming to understanding what work needs to be done in the series and who is doing what work. And as I see from other examples from other series that happened, because I asked them the question, so who was doing that and who was doing that? And series that have not a clear through line of positioning struggle and lose themselves in the episodes, and it brings their results, sadly, when there is 4 directors, 2 screenwriters, and nobody wants to take responsibility of who is. The producer is trying to do that, but sorry producers, they're not talented enough to do that job. Because it's very hard and demanding and involves a lot of time, and producers usually have so many projects that it's just impossible to devote that much time and go that deep in that amount of things. It's not only about the talent, and but also about the talent. So it's a Wild West. And the example of Poland or Bulgaria, we're much further away. We're just starting out, and all of this needs to be formulated.
Can we just add up something that about the talent of the producers? I don't think that there is a person in a series project who knows better the creative vision and how it needs to be transferred to the public, starting from every line or from a piece of cloth that the character is wearing, or to the sound design. So there is nobody who can do this. And I feel that sometimes they get really frustrated because they feel that you are taking their space. But if they are smart enough and they give you the responsibility, as Wiktor said, and they will receive something of much more quality and much more passion. Otherwise, people start quarreling on the set. The actors, you get calls from the actors. This director is telling me a totally different thing from the previous one. Who is going to take the lead at last? So people get confused.
I would just add to it that there's no such thing in the US as a non-writing showrunner. So it happens here that, I don't know, a producer or a network executive says, I'm a showrunner. So why do you think so? Can you write? no, but I'm the boss. It's no, you're a network executive. You're not a showrunner. It's two different things. When there's a problem and you have to fix it, I don't know, in one night, and you have to go to your room, you have to take your laptop, and you have to rewrite stuff for the next shooting day. It's if you cannot write, you cannot solve the problem. So, you're a great producer, you're a wonderful network executive, but please don't mix those two things, because this is also what happens in Poland, that especially in one network, there are some people hired there who call themselves showrunners, but those are network executives. And on the other hand, not every writer can be a showrunner, because, a lot of writers are wonderful, great writers, but they are more introverts, and they would rather stay in the room, write, than deal with people. And you have David E. Kelly, who's a wonderful writer, but he does writing. So in America, they give him always a co-showrunner, so David can stay in his room and write his stuff, while his co-showrunner would do everything else, deal with people, talk to them, shout at them if they need, you have to deal with all the conflicts and problems, and you need those, soft skills as well, not just writing. So it's a lot of work, basically.
But in Europe, and this is not only for the region here, but it's, let's say, overall in Europe, if we look at it from the perspective, from series, you have the network executives, which are traditionally in charge of things. Then if you look on the film side, you are the author-driven type of work, where you have a writer, director, and quite often it's also the producer, or has somebody who is line producing for her. So how do you actually shift from this, let's say, from the network executive we understand, but then from the film angle, how do you shift it from splitting these responsibilities quite clearly, and also maintaining the space that Teodora was mentioning, transmitting a vision? Because at the end of the day, you have two people. One is with the eye in the camera, the other one is in the direct connection with the actor. So it's also setting up the speed of and the tone of the discussion and everything. So how do you do that? Not afterwards when you look at the dailies, but beforehand when you have this communication and you set up things. How do you do that? How does it work?
Okay, so maybe I'll start with a bad example.
You start with the bad example.
Yeah, and then it can only be better. So there was one show that I did in Poland, and it was a co-production between two networks. And it was a quite difficult one, because both networks had different audiences, different wishes, and it was a difficult show to write. And it took us over 1 year to satisfy everyone with the scripts, and at the same time, both networks were looking for a director, which is also unusual. Like in Poland, we think about one director, and this is a huge, I think, mistake, because of course one director can set the tone in the pilot episode, but it's way better if there's more than one director. When you split work, it's like in Scandinavia, it's usually 2 or 3 directors, but they were looking for one director, and they were struggling to find one who would be accepted by both networks. So after over a year or a year and a half of a really hard work of me and my team of writers, the director was hired. And I remember the next day, after this director got hired, I don't even know if the director read the scripts yet, but we all got this email from some assistant from the production department saying that, that like in films, it's always written a film by, and this one name there, a film by Steven Spielberg, right? Like Steven Spielberg did the movie on his own. So in this email, "Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you in a series by," and then the name of this director who just got hired, I don't know, 12 hours before, probably knew nothing about the show, and it was already that director's series. So this is this is how it's, some people perceive a TV series like an author film, which is, I think, a mistake. One person, cannot do it all in an author, way, maybe if it's a mini series or something. So, I believe that, in Europe, especially in our part of Europe, we won't have strong, showrunners like in America with huge power. But I believe in this close cooperation between the producer, the director or directors, and somebody like us. Because if we create the show, if we create the characters, like the last series I did, it's called The Murderesses, the first Polish Viaplay series. And I could say that the show running responsibilities were divided between me and my partner, who's a director and also technically producer, the head of the production company. He's Swedish, but he lives in Poland, and we had a wonderful cooperation. Like, we were every day discussing every single day, starting from writing till shooting and post-production. We discussed everything together. And, he was on set, calling me, we have this problem with scene 16. And I was, in my office rewriting. Okay, I'm calling him back. I solved this problem. And so it was great. It's 6 episodes, and the two of us shared the responsibility. So maybe in our part of Europe, this is the way, like 2 co-showrunners, right? It worked very well with your show. So.
Yeah, it's happy to work.
Yes.
No, but how? No, it is also personal curiosity, mainly because as having the background more in the film before I jumped the series world a couple of years ago. But that's the main question. Is it actually a lot of to do in the preparation, where everybody understands exactly what needs to be done, or how do you avoid this overlap of duties, responsibilities, visions, and sometimes also personal
taste?
Yeah, what it is, yes.
I think that you cannot avoid it 100%. It all starts with choosing the right people. And I think that because this was for Soviet Jeans, it was a Latvian series, and this burden was on Stas, and he will tell more probably about it. I can say also about a mistake that I have in the previous show. We picked up 2 directors, and one of the directors were very strongly attached to the director's place in the film, and he is doing author-driven films. So he wouldn't follow any kind of comments or visions coming from us or from the other directors. So when we were shooting the test scenes, and he was supposed to launch the show, to set up the tone in the first episode, and we all saw that he's doing something totally different, like not the show that we want to do. And then I spoke with my producer, and I told him we need to switch them. We need the second director, who is entitled to be like second. We need him to do the pilot episode. And this was a huge mistake that my producer made, because he said, we already have signed the contracts, and it is written in his contract that he will do the pilot and the last episode. So we went with him, and the pilot was very unsuccessful, and because we were shooting episodes 3 by 3, so the audience had to wait for 3 episodes and to change, and suddenly everybody said on the 4th, whoever left after the first 3, everybody said, wow, this suddenly became so much better. And at the end we had to fire him. And it wouldn't have happened if we had just switched their sets. So this is a really bad example, and it is very, very strongly recommended for the directors. It is unnatural for them, but they need to pitch you how they would do the series, and then you understand if they follow you or not.
So basically, just listening to all of that, thinking about showrunners in the terms of writer-director. If to be a showrunner, you need the writing skill for sure, and directing skill, but not the practical directing skill on guiding actors on set, but really understanding the material that you get and being able to comment. Understanding the mise-en-scene from the vision perspective, just understanding what is happening, where is the conflict, where is the resolution, and because you don't need, will not be, it is funny in a way, but it's not very often the case of understanding. And also from the director's perspective, if you're looking, then you need to have skill. I don't know, all around Europe, there are many directors, auteur directors that became directors just because they really wanted to be directors, but they have no skill whatsoever. If you start to talk craft and writing, craft and directing, there is craft. It is a craft-based job. And to direct a series, you need the craft. There is no time. You need to be able to communicate to other people, and you need to have a language to do that. If you just come with your vision, and you wanted to use a bad word, I will not say that, it's going to be very bad. Imagine, right? And this, and also in the Baltics, the same, what Teodora mentioned, we call a director, and he is not understanding why his name is not written first, with this maybe second, if he's the second director, and but this will stay for long. And because the producers also think that the director is the main person who created the vision, it will gonna take a lot of time. Looking, if Poland is fighting about it and been doing series much longer, so how we will have to wait for even longer. It will not go away. We just have to embrace the pain.
I can just share, because I'm also a member of the Federation of Screenwriters of Europe, that very soon a work group from the Federation has elaborated a document on credits, and it needs to be synchronized in all European countries. So this document contains 3 credits: created by, head writer, and written by. And I think this is very important, and I believe that all of the countries that are members of this federation have representatives, and they are translating now this document. I'm not sure about this done. Yeah, but okay, you can have the document too. We will launch a campaign explaining what does it mean created by, because in my country for very long years, the creators of the show were written the producers and the directors. And at some point, I decided to edit my Internet Movie Database page and to take my credit, and they changed it because I sent the document and my contracts, and according to all definitions, the created by credit goes to the writer who created it, and not to the people who came afterwards. And it is very specific text which says what does it mean to be a creator, writing the Bible, the outline for the season, and the pilot. And what does it not mean to be a creator, like throwing out comments and ideas. So I think this is very useful if there are screenwriters, especially for TV, in the room, to be acquainted with this document and just to know your position. Because if you are a creator of the show, this means that no second season could happen without you, or you can take it and go somewhere else unless you sign a very, I was gonna say another word, contract, bad contract. So this is something we are at the stage of still accepting the created by credit, and we haven't even started talking about the showrunner's credit. We don't know how to translate it. Should we translate it? And yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like in my HBO series, I don't have the created by credit. I have a devised by credit, which is the closest devised by, which is the closest to created by, but not created by. This is what lawyers came up with after like months and months. And And the argument behind it was that created by is the credit that you can only get in America. And it was like ridiculous that like a creator is somebody doing, directing as well, which I did not do. And I gave the example of the HBO show called Vinyl, where one of the creators is Mick Jagger. So I said, did Mick Jagger direct the episode? No, but it's a different thing. It's an American show, in America. There are creators only in America. So, but it was a long time ago. So I'm really happy to hear that, we have to fight for that credit.
Okay, we are still at the debate of what is the creator, but then what is the difficulty of, besides the technicalities of not having a definition in a law or in a regulation or in kind of a standard, but what is the difficulty in your opinion of having a common understanding of the showrunner, like that, around here in Europe, let's go there.
I think, at least in my country, it's the lack of a proper education. So like when I started in Łódź Film School, like long time ago, and I wanted to write TV series, not just films, we had no one single class about writing TV series. So when we asked them to organize something, they invited for 1 hour a person writing telenovela. So, oh, but I don't know if it's what we are looking for. So, so we had to do, like when I was writing Wataha, I was like learning by doing. I was like ordering books, like watching, and it was learning by doing. And I think it's the same with then head writing and now show running, that, we need programs like European Showrunner training, which is a great program to teach you the skills. But on the other hand, we need to promote this vision among executives from networks, from platforms, that I think this model is very useful for everyone, for them as well. Because at the end of the day, it's a question from the network's executives' perspective, who you're going to call when there's a problem.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if they don't pick up, you call the showrunner, right? It's like, so if there's a problem, there's this one specific guy that you call him. Maybe one day you have to fire him, because showrunners also get fired, can get replaced. But there's this one guy who takes the responsibility. So it's great to have this one guy. If you don't have a showrunner's model, it's always that writer would say, oh, the script was perfect. It's the director who messed it up. Then the director would say, but the script was awful, like it's the problem with the script. And the producer said, oh, it's not my thing that some, numbers are not in line, it's the writer or director's fault. So they will always look for someone else to blame too, right? So if there's a showrunner model, at least there's one guy who's always responsible for it. So it's a cool model for executives as well.
So what's the appeal of that? On top of the first question.
I think that at least in our experience, experience with Stanislavs and in my experience in Bulgaria, the first thing that I should say is that the showrunner's job is not paid. You just need to be happy and to thank them that you are giving you the power, the freedom to create the show that you want to create. So the next step would be to convince producers and networks that it is a super many hours job out of the writing, like 3 times more than the writing process probably. And so this is the difficulty. And as Wiktor says, yes, we are in the Wild West. So this resistance of giving the writer the responsibility just makes us really demotivated. And I remember this case being in the Wild West where we were shooting in the Bujano studios. And usually when you're with the Bulgarian production there, and very often if an American production comes, they just kick you out of the sets because they pay like 100 times more. So we had this medieval village, and we were supposed to shoot there 2 days later. And one of the guys from the production decided to smoke and to have a walk around, and he suddenly saw that the houses of the village are not there. They disappeared. And can you imagine? So the American production came and they said, we need this lane, just remove the houses. And we were going to shoot there in 2 days. And there was nothing else to be done except for rewrite for the next 24 hours all the storyline connected with this village. And
you moved to Sofia, urban town.
Yeah. So the only person who can resolve these kind of problems should be the showrunner and respectively the writer.
So, as I'm the only Baltics representative here, I think it will not come for sure, because, for example, talking about Latvia as a director of the Guild of Directors, we're still discussing with producers what are the responsibilities of a director. Like 2024, this is the conversation we're having with the Producers Association. So it is very early to talk about what the showrunner does, and I think it's a private responsibility of every writer who feels that he has the craft and the profession to have these conversations with the producer on a personal level, making the agreement, dividing, teaching. It's our industries are not that big, and there are not that many successful writers, so they can start a trend of dividing this position and a word showrunning appearing. This would be my perception of how it can happen in the Baltics, and this word can start appearing. For example, if hopefully we can do a second season of Soviet Jeans or something, we can implement in our conversation with the producer this term, because now it was just like month of work involved in all part of it, and this is just because we really wanted the show to look great and the poster to look great and every short clip and everything, right? But talking about the second season, we'll try to divide this in a separate work. We'll see how it works, but it's a start.
Separate contract.
Yeah. Yes, a separate contract, a separate word at least, yeah, we'll see. But meaning on a personal level, because some kind of institutionalized approach is completely, I think, out of the question as of now. Yeah, I had to.
Okay, so in this very challenged environment of showrunning in Eastern Europe, who are your allies in this journey?
Okay, I will take this question. First of all, the producers. I think that if you don't have a producer willing and understanding your importance, you shouldn't start the project with them. And after you have the producer by your side, then all of the other head of departments and all of the other creative positions should be your allies. You should have the right to choose your allies and not just to be cornered to work with people who are there to measure their ego with your ego. So yes, this actually he said it, that the first step is to put on the table everything with the producer and to see whether they are willing to give you this freedom or not.
Yeah, I agree. I think producers is the first, I think, candidate in my head, because like in Scandinavia, the show running is kind of a little bit divided between guys like us and a producer. So it's not just one person, and I think it's a natural alliance between producers and showrunners, and I think there could be great cooperation there, because we could be more in charge of the creative part of the work, but there's huge loads of work with applications, with money, with invoices, with the whole financial side of it, and it's too much for one person. So I think those two sides, financial and more creative, it could be divided by this duet of a producer and a creative like us, then I really believe that network executives will one day be our, supporters, because I think it's useful for them. Like when, for example, Netflix entered the German market, they wanted to talk only to showrunners, which was tricky because there were no showrunners back then in Germany. But it was the trick. But they said, "Oh, no, the showrunners. Who are showrunners?" But they really wanted to talk to them. So I think like platforms, they can bring some of the know-how that they have in their country to help us, push the showrunner model and implement it. And I think also like stars. I mean the main actors, because I think like with the show I did recently, like I cannot imagine how many hours I had to be on the phone with the lead star discussing, I'm tired, I want to go to bed. But now she calls again, like, what do you think about this moment in her past of my character? This is what you had in your mind of that, and another 2-hour long conversation. But I think it's good that, if the lead actor knows who he or she can deal with to discuss everything, not just one scene, but in general. And if they are the part of the packaging that makes the show done and they trust us, we trust them, it also helps us to say we are doing more than just writing or just directing. It's called showrunning, so give us the credit or something, and I think this could, so producers, network executives, and the top actors could be our ally.
So, but showrunning is not only talking to that actress, but also calling the director for another 1 hour, explaining what you had a conversation about. So next day when he comes, he doesn't feel completely lost because she's gonna tell him, I know everything. Shut up. You're gonna do it right. Right. So this is the showrunning actually. Yes.
And just what add one more thing. The worst part of showrunning is when this actress doesn't like another actor, and talking. So it's 1 more hour of talking to the other actor and to a production manager, and so it's like long hours on.
So showrunner means to be a good writer. It means to be a good therapist. Then you need to have a lot of time, more than the other people in general, if it's possible. So you are in a different dimension. How do you deal with the money? Because you also have, you talked a lot about the creative part, which is normal. That's where the conflicts are, but also where the money are. There's also a bit of a conflict. So how that works, this side of the coin of the show running.
Oh.
So the producer says it's all wonderful what you have written, but so your job is to listen to them and to resolve the parts, because you are the person who needs to choose what to sacrifice, and I think we've made a sacrifice in Soviet Jeans. Like, I'm not going to say, sometimes it's about a storyline, sometimes it's about a celebrity actor that you really, really want, but it just gets too much. So you're the person who needs to assess how to fit in these tight clothes without making the model look ugly. So you're discussing everything with them. Of course, I am not sure that for me that they are sharing everything about the financial part, but when they have problems, they are sharing.
Hello, Mr.
No, not yet. But this is like you said, it's on one hand we are not getting paid yet for the work we do extra. The showrunning work. But on the other hand, we are the ones who can help them save money, because it's us who can do it. We can rewrite the thing that we don't lose the production value, but we save money here and there to bring this A-list actor. or we can rewrite the scene. We'll take the helicopter out of the scene to save the money.
I always the helicopter.
All right, a plane. It's a zeppelin.
A space euros.
Yeah. A spaceship, or we'll cut the spaceship in the scene to have 100 more extras in another scene. So we know how to save money without losing the production value. So it's like with financial advisors. You have to go to a financial advisor, you have to pay him, but then he will help you save more money than you invested in this consultation. So I think it's the same with us.
Now you have some.
No, it's just well formulated by my colleagues. Nothing more to add.
So it seems very exciting because you talked about the Wild Wild West, but then in the Wild Wild West, many things were not happening, but also some people were dying at the end, before the sunset. So let's hope that it's more about exploring new things and establishing new territories than dying before the sunset or leaving town before the sunset. You see, obviously you entered into this world, you fought for your credits and for your title, or you discovered you actually have this title, and then you fought in keeping it, but what's next? How do you deal with that on the long run? You also said that it's about educating, it's about for everyone doing individual work and so on. But what do you think that should be done or could be done by you or by others to solve I'm not going to use this word because I can't pronounce it, to structure a bit, let's say, this concept. Not necessarily impose it, because maybe some others will not feel comfortable using it, but at least having it in a more structured way on the long run before we all retire.
So I think what we could do is promote it by example. So if you have a great show like Soviet Jeans and guys say that, it's they were showrunning it and it worked. So I hope more producers would come to them to hire them as showrunners, but also to give chance to other people in our territories to be
First to us.
Yeah, of course. First to you guys, of course. It's not easy. I remember, like in Poland, like 15 years ago or something, when me and my two friends were pitching this Wataha, something that became the first Polish HBO show. There was no platforms, no HBO was producing in Poland, and everybody said, "Oh, it's not for us. It's impossible to produce it." But then after 5 years of constant rejections, we made it. So I think now we are in the similar situation with showrunning. So we'll get rejected. All right, you won't get the credit. All right, you won't get the show. But at the end of the day, we'll make some of those shows that hopefully will be successful. And decision makers will see that it's also good for them and it brings them success and money. So why not go for it?
I just had a very interesting idea. First of all, what you're doing here is part of this job. But because in Bulgaria or in Latvia, there are not platforms. I mean, there are some regional platforms and they don't give budgets for production. They can give like small chunks, but we were whining for long years that we don't have platforms. But now I see that a different way of financement is coming. And this is the way of creating something really artistic through the funding from the national film centers, from Creative Europe or from Eurimages. So this makes you, this gives you the freedom to create something of importance, and without having all these people from the platform or the network telling you, I don't like this storyline, just think of something else. No, we cannot have this main character being like on alcohol or on drugs. It's not good. So they give too much restrictions. And if shows like Soviet Jeans that come from alternative type of funding gain success and gain distribution, because when you are stuck to Netflix or to HBO, you just stay there. But if you have like beta, let it be, okay, not for our show, but it gives the opportunity for much wider distribution. So I think that if the platforms see that other shows are conquering festivals and audiences, they might understand that probably it's not the way that they are conducting the right management for the show, and this would be some kind of a change, and we should promote the work that comes as valuable and is not put under the boundaries of the platforms and the networks.
Can I add just one thing to that? So, like a week ago, we both pitched our project at Series Mania, and there were like more Central Eastern European projects there in the main selection. So I think we can be proud of ourselves that, you know, like projects from all over the world were submitted, and really a lot of from our region were pitched there. But what's great is that all those players like Penta, like ZDF Studios, like broadcasters, they come to talk to us. And this would never happen with the director or producer. You need someone like us to create it, to go on stage, to pitch it, and then to take those meetings. And I hope we'll make those shows one day in this co-production European model to promote the idea of showrunning as well.
Yes, and supporting your local screenwriters guilds really helps. For example, what Teodora is mentioning, there's going to be a document, and then just trying and push it in your own country, I think would really help this process. And then, like colleagues said, setting by example, showing the producer that you're an ally and changing the understanding in your own contracts, and through your work showing him that you are the ally, not the directors that change and sort of, because the producer in our region, the Baltic states, will come from a feature film experience and just will not know any better than joining the director in order to make artistic decisions. So